Today's guest is Jake Milman. How are you, Jake?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good, Jake. Thanks for coming out. So I asked you to be a guest on the podcast because I came across your Instagram page, which is full of just sharks and free diving. Tell me how you got started, and tell me why you wanted to swim with sharks.
So, I've always been obsessed with sharks since I was a kid. Like, I go to my mom's house, I could probably dig up VHS tapes of, like, Shark Week from, like, 1996. So I've just always been fascinated by them as predators and animals and stuff like that. So, and then I just started getting into snorkeling. Like, I've always liked being in the water and, seeing what's under the water and all that. And then, like, I did my first shark dive, like, I don't know, 4 years ago, and immediately hooked. I mean, granted, we had, like, a really good day.
Right.
But it was something where it was the adrenaline and, just being around these predators and, them not being like how they are portrayed in Shark Week and stuff like that. Like, they're not constantly like chomping on, it's not how they are. So, but it's actually very relaxing.
So what kind of sharks do you swim with?
So right now I think I got 11 species under my belt. This time of year we're doing silky sharks, dusky sharks, bull sharks, sandbars. We'll get the occasional oceanic blacktip and the occasional scalloped hammerhead. If we're lucky, we'll get a smooth hammerhead and stuff like that. So wintertime, more tigers, great hammerheads, lemon sharks. And then I'll shoot over the Bahamas every now and then to do tigers.
Damn.
The tigers out there get big, like 15, 16 feet.
So these sharks aren't aggressive then at all, or at least in your experience, they haven't been to you.
I've had some sketchy moments with some bull sharks.
Okay.
If you ask me, there's a bunch of people in the shark community that kind of romanticize them, and I have this connection. No, you got a box of bait. Like, you don't have a connection with apex predators. They're there because we have dead fish.
Right.
And it's one of those things where they're not the monsters portrayed in Jaws. They're not these mindless eating machines that are going to attack anything that moves. They're also not puppy dogs. You'll see people, like, there's a big thing going on Instagram right now because some prolific shark people over in Hawaii posted a guy riding a tiger shark on his dorsal. And to me, that's wildlife harassment.
Yeah.
You can get powerful imagery of these animals that change minds without being like that,
So he was trying to ride on the shark to prove that they're not so aggressive?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like, he grabbed on the dorsal. It was a big tiger shark, and she's pregnant. And you can tell she's pregnant. And just kind of, like, let the shark drag him through the water. And, like, why? You know what I mean? I get what you were trying to do, but at the same time, like, there's better ways to go about that.
Why do you think there's this misconception of sharks? Do you think it all stems from great whites and they just attribute it to that, or a great white's not even that aggressive?
We fear the unknown, you know what I mean?
Right.
And, that's just a natural human reaction. We fear the unknown. And sharks are, they're bigger than us. They got sharp teeth. They are very proficient hunters. And, then you have Jaws, you have Shark Week, you got the media, shark attack. Well, people are like, shark attack. Well, you got more chance of dying on 95 on the way to the boat than you do, and it's exponentially a more chance of dying,
right,
than getting bit by a shark. If you get bit by a shark, I always say buy a lotto ticket on the way to the hospital. That's the chances. And I know people that have been bit, but it's the guys who are constantly in the water feeding these things, day in and day out and stuff like that. So, and they've never, it's a couple stitches, and it's always that's not food.
Oh, so it's like a little scratch, not like anything taking an arm off? That's very rare.
It's very rare, and, what the media don't report is even when these big white sharks take a surfer and, and the surfer dies, and they take a limb or something like that, the media doesn't report. The limb usually washes off on the beach.
Right.
So they're not even consuming it.
Well, with the surfing, it's more understandable. They think it's a seal.
Yeah.
That's different than diving.
Yes. So most times if a diver gets bit, he's usually spearfishing, or he or she is usually spearfishing. And that actually goes down as a provoked attack. Because, you're shooting a fish. Anything that sets off a dinner bell. It's a struggling, bleeding, injured fish. And it's like, and then the sharks start going.
Right, so it doesn't know it's something. I'm eating something.
Yeah, exactly. It puts them into a full predation mode, and they start coming in hot and hard, and I try to avoid that, especially on dives. I want them especially when I'm leading a dive, I want them in almost like a scavenging mindset to where
the sharks in the scavenge. Okay.
I want them in like, all right, well, I'm gonna get my meal no matter what. I just sit here, be patient. I'll get some rewards and stuff like that.
So you do feed them when you're out of the water?
Yeah, we do feed them.
How does that work so you don't mess up the timing?
So it's a baited situation when you're doing, because if you don't have bait, the sharks aren't going to stick around because they don't want anything to do with us. You have people like me and people I go out with who, we're super fascinated. We want to be around sharks, and that's a one-way love affair. You know what I mean? The sharks don't give a flying. What about us? And we bring bait into a crate, and we drop it in a buoy about 30 feet below, and the sharks will come up. And as long as you have bait, you'll have sharks. And especially like we ran out of bait, and within 5 minutes all the sharks are gone. And we had around 12 sharks around us yesterday. And as soon as the bait was gone, within 5 minutes all the sharks were gone. So if they're not getting a chance to get a free meal, they want nothing to do with us.
Right. So they don't even really mistake you guys for the bait either. It's not like, oh, you're close to the bait, I'm going to go for you.
I mean, I know dudes who have been, but it's rare. It's very rare. And again, it's the person who's literally feeding them the bait is the one at risk, because you're covered in fish oil and but there's proper gear to wear and stuff like that. Like, you never want your little hand out, without a glove on, because you look at a fish scrap and you look at your hand in the water, waving in the water, you can see how they could be mistaken.
Okay.
So.
And then how was your first shark encounter? Like, when did you decide, like, okay, I'm going in the water this time, not just the snorkel and free dive, but I want to go visit some sharks? Yeah. Was it in a cage or?
It was not. I've actually never been in a cage. So there was a guy, he moved his shark swimming business up from Key West, and I saw it. And most dive operators, they only take scuba divers out. I was never scuba certified. Like, I've never done scuba diving. And so I paid him, his regular charter fee was $200. So I paid him $200.
Yeah.
And we went out, and it looked like a bum day, and I was wasting my money. The visibility wasn't good. It was like 50 feet of visibility. No sharks came up. And blah, blah. I'm like, all right, this guy's full of it. So we reset the dive, because everything off Palm Beach is drift diving because the current, because the Gulf Stream. And we reset the dive, and instantaneously we have about 8 to 10 bull sharks.
Now, were you scared at first? To get in the
my
water?
heart was going, because I know the reputation for bull sharks, and I had never been around bull sharks at the time.
Sure.
And bull shark reputations, if you ask me, they're well earned, especially in low visibility. If you got clear blue water, bull sharks are docile. They're very shy. They don't, they keep their distance from you and stuff like that. The minute that visibility switches, there's a switch that goes on, and they start prodding and poking and being very, very emboldened by low visibility.
Right.
But so we had that, and then we had sandbar sharks show up, and then the deeper we drifted out, we had silkies and duskies, and then a hammerhead came up on me, like snuck up on me. Like, I was taking a picture of a sandbar shark, and a hammerhead just pops right in our frame and starts doing this turning, and stuck around for like 30 minutes, and then we reset again, and then had like 20 sandbars and a hammerhead and all this. And I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, just sharing the water with these animals. I mean, it's incredible. And everyone thinks it's like super adrenaline filled. And don't get me wrong, like, your heart starts racing for the first 15, 20 minutes. And then once you kind of get in the zone, you just sit back and relax and watch. And I mean, and you'll have silkies and duskies, like, they don't have a sense of personal space. Like, they'll come right up to you.
Oh, so you can touch them?
You can, yeah. I mean, it's one of the things where, like, if they start invading your personal space, we tell you to redirect the animal. And you put your hand on top of their head and kind of just gently push them down, And, well, sharks can only swim, and they have to keep swimming, and they can only swim in one direction. So you just nudge them. They'll avoid you. And, I mean, the silkies usually come around. You have to do that multiple times, but, you get used to it.
Right.
And it's just an amazing experience, man. Like,
So what's been your closest encounter? That was like almost a mistake going bad.
It was a bull shark, and it was our own damn fault. So we were running low on bait. We shot a bonita, which is typically what we use for bait.
Okay.
Because it's a bloody, oily fish. And,
Yeah.
it's in the tuna family, but they do not taste like tuna.
Yeah, I heard they're not
They're
good to eat.
terrible to eat. But they're great shark food. And so we shot the bonita, get up on the boat, and we don't have any like new people on the boat this day. It's like just us going out to screw around. We had about, I don't know, 25, 30 bull sharks around us. And I was out with guys called Shark Addicts. I don't know if you've seen their
I
stuff.
haven't heard of them, no.
They're pretty big on Instagram. But,
Okay.
So I was out with them, and we wrangled up the bonita. And for those who don't know what that means, everybody's on the boat. You tie rope to the bonita or a fish, throw it overboard, and try to get him into a hunting mode.
Okay.
Take the fish. So me and my buddy Mickey decided it'd be a great idea to get in the water and get the under view of what a wrangled bait looks like. And so I'm watching this, I don't know, 8-foot bull shark come up, and it's a good sized bonita. It's like I don't know, probably as big as my arm, about I don't know, 11-pound bonita, something like that. This bull shark comes up and cleans it down to the tail in one bite.
Ooh.
What I don't see is a bull charging up from the depth. And so I'm taking pictures, and I feel something brush against my fins, and I look down, and all I see is bull shark, like mouth. And shit. Kick up, and we freaked each other out, because she's like, I was like, whoa, and she was like, whoa, and she just darted, like, within a blink of an eye, like 30 yards away. And then I came up, I'm like, all right, time to get out of the water. And then, but yeah, it was definitely an experience. And then that same day, so the drift was done, so we went and reset to where we originally got in the water, because the current pushed us like 3 miles away. We get the bait crate in, we're about to get in the water, and this bull just, I swear to God, this thing was going to breach like a great white. Like, this thing just comes shoot up hard from the surface and like turns right at the water line. And we were like, okay, so let's try the outside of the ledge. And so where we do, the ledge is 3.5 miles off Juneau, Jupiter area. And it's just a drop off. And that's where most of our sharks aggregate. Most of our sharks here are migrational. So we do have resident bull sharks, but most of our bull sharks are migrational. Our silkies, our duskies, our lemons, our tigers, our hammerheads, they're all migrational. Because Jupiter is so close to the Gulf Stream. And that's just like this giant super highway for the water. And like the guy I go out with now, Captain Tony, he actually saw a great white about eight months ago, right off there. You'll see great whites, you'll see whale sharks on occasion, pilot whales. It's the amount of life that the Gulf Stream has.
Have you seen a great white?
I have not.
Okay.
Not yet.
Are they more vicious or no? They're part of the myth
stigma.
as well?
Everyone I know who has seen a great white in the wild tells me that they are super standoffish and very skittish. So they want nothing to do with us.
Yeah, it sounds like from what you're telling me, they're very scared. Like they only mistake you for food or something.
Yeah, they got to be in hunting mode. And I've heard from other people in New Zealand that the big adult ones earn their reputation.
Okay.
Most of the ones we get here are, smaller, quote, sub-adult. That's still a 15-foot animal.
Yeah.
So, 1,200 pounds, 2,000 pounds. That's still a big animal, but they're technically still teenagers. So they're a little more standoffish. And, I've noticed that with a lot of the other shark species that the bigger and the older they are, the more bold they are. The bigger bull sharks, the 8, the 9, the 10 footers that are really fat, 400 or 500 pound animals.
Yeah.
They'll stick around a little more and they'll display dominance and stuff like that. Especially the bigger duskies, bigger hammerheads, bigger tigers especially. The big tigers will come right up to you. They have no fear of you whatsoever. So, like the ones we go to the Bahamas for, we have, I think the smallest one out there is 10 feet. And she's actually one of the bolder ones. But the ones out in the Bahamas, they all have names for the most part. They all recognize because it's a pupping ground out there.
Okay.
And so it's all pregnant females out there. And, you have ones that have been conditioned with divers for 10 years.
Yeah.
So they come right up to you, man. And, you kind of got to redirect them. You put your hand on their nose and all right, you go this way.
No, that
So,
sounds really cool.
It's an amazing experience. It's an amazing experience.
Now, would you rather swim with a shark or with an alligator? Because my friends, we always get into this debate all the time. There's some that say alligators, and I've never understood why someone would think an alligator, they'd have a better chance with that than a shark.
Well, it's funny you say that. Because I was out with
Unless
Chris.
they have a stigma as
I was
well.
out with Chris Gillette yesterday.
Okay.
And he's an alligator expert, and he's getting into sharks. And he actually invited me down to go to gators with him. So he's probably about the only person that I would do gators with.
To swim with the gators, not necessarily gators that have been trained or used to divers, just going out to a lake.
He does the Everglades and stuff like that.
Okay.
People who don't know gator behavior.
Yeah.
He actually has a sanctuary with about 10 nuisance gators that he's pulled out of people's pools and neighborhoods and stuff like that, where you can get in the pool with them and their pool, apparently their pen. And the star of the show is about a 10-foot gator named Casper, and he's been working with him for 10 years. So I'm probably going to end up doing that soon.
So in his experience, the gators are very similar to sharks. They have a sort of.
Yeah, they're a little misunderstood and stuff like that. I've shot in pictures of wild gators on land, but I've never been in the water with them. And I've been up close to a couple on land because there's a couple spots over in Grassy Waters, a little west of here.
Yeah.
And if they're sunbathing, you can get pretty close to them. So I've done some shots on land of gators, but never been in the water with them. But it's something like, I kind of want to do.
Well, they seem a lot more aggressive. And also, like you were saying before, if the water is clear, usually in the ocean, the sharks won't get you. But with alligators, it's not clear water.
Yeah, no. And that's probably the sketchiest part of it is,
They could easily mistake you.
It's one of those things where, it's not the gator or the shark that you see that's going to get you. It's the one you don't see. And, and even in fighting, you talk to any boxer or MMA fighter, it's not the punch you see coming that's going to knock you out. It's the one you don't see coming.
Right.
And, because you can't you can't brace for it. You can't expect it. You can't react to it. And so that's what he told me about the gator situation. But he's also said that they're pretty misunderstood. And my experience is they've been pretty, they'll let you get a certain distance and then they'll just shoot off. If they have an escape route, they'll just escape. Yeah, but apparently that's a big debate. Like his shark friends won't go with gators and his gator friends won't go with sharks. So,
right. So he does both, though.
Yeah, he does both.
Does he have a preference or say which one feels more dangerous or one you should start with?
I don't think there's necessarily like a versus to say like that with gator versus shark or something like that. I think they're both their own experiences, own behaviors to themselves. So, like I said, I'm only familiar with sharks and, in certain species of sharks, certain species have different characteristics,
Yeah.
Like I have a hard time getting bull sharks up past 20 feet deep as opposed to a silky shark yesterday we had on the surface, pretty much the entire dive. So, and I mean, in your face.
Now, how deep can you go down free diving?
My best depth is 60. I'm not the greatest free diver that I know. I know guys who can routinely hit 80, 90 feet, hang out.
So free diving is one breath, no oxygen
One breath.
tank, and
Yeah,
okay.
so one breath.
So how long are you typically down there for, hanging out? 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
It depends on the diver. I mean, the difference between free diving and scuba is there's a lot more personal responsibility in free diving. You're responsible for your own safety. You're responsible for your own depth. You're responsible for your own, the risks and how much you're going to push your limits. So I always tell people a shark dive is not your place. It's not the time and place to push your free diving limits. I got way more things to look after on this dive than worrying about you having a blackout.
Right.
So, and that's the biggest danger in free diving is shallow water blackout. And that's we do a free diving class, that's what they focus on. 70% of the class is on safety for shallow water blackout. And it's the number one killer of free divers. And it's never the rookies. It's never the guys who are just getting into it. It's the guys who can go down to 150, chill out for 2 minutes, and then come up. And like it's nothing. It's those guys who suffer, get the blackouts and die.
It's the experienced ones that get the blackouts and die.
Absolutely.
How do they black out? What is it caused from coming up
So
too
basically,
quickly, or?
no. It's caused by a hypoxia. So basically, your carbon dioxide levels in your blood are too high, and the
Okay.
first thing that your body naturally shuts off is your brain.
Okay.
So there's no warning signs or anything like that. So you just black out, and there's certain things you do where with your weight belt and stuff like that where you properly weight. So if you do black out, you float to the surface instead of sink down. So you want to be properly weighted. You always want to dive with a buddy. Diving alone is just stupid. I mean, I don't know why you would ever go into a wild environment by yourself. And that's one of the other things is people treat the ocean like it's a wild environment or like it's their backyard pool, even at the beach. People are like, let's just go to the beach. It's like my pool. No, it's a wild environment. You don't know what's in the water. I mean, I don't how many drone footage have we seen of like people just bathing and then there's sharks all around them and they have no clue, zero idea, And so you never want to go into a wild environment, be it the Everglades, be it the ocean, by yourself. It's just stupid. It's negligent. And so we really preach the buddy system, one up, one down.
So one is on the boat waiting while
one's on the
down?
surface.
Oh, one's on the surface.
So one's on the surface, and you're watching your dive buddy.
Right.
You're making sure your dive buddy doesn't get tangled in his, in his float line for spearfishing, or he doesn't have a bull shark creeping up on him. You just look out for your buddy, and then once you're at the surface, kind of give him a look over, and you watch. The fish will come back. No fish is worth your friend's life. No fish is worth you're dying. No picture's worth that. So
Yeah.
Everybody preaches the love of free diving, the euphoria, and it is true. But at the same time, there's a very real danger to it, and that's within yourself. That's not even counting outside factors like sharks and other boaters and stuff like that. So it's a dangerous sport. It really is.
Have you heard of Wim Hof? Wim Hof? Okay, because he was on actually one of Joe Rogan's episodes. But what's interesting is because you were saying the blackouts occur from too much carbon dioxide and then the brain shuts off. So Wim Hof has a breathing technique. He actually swam under a meter thick of ice with one breath.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, now you've heard
I
of
saw that guy.
So his breathing technique, it allows you to get more oxygen into the body and decrease carbon dioxide, and then you can hold your breath longer. So I was wondering if maybe you guys practice that or something like that.
It's a breathing, and it's more like yoga. So that's why a lot of these competition freedivers do yoga.
Okay.
But it's like super slow, inhale, exhale, and freediving is all about your heart rate.
Being relaxed.
It's getting your heart rate down, so where you can hold your breath for 3, 4, 5 minutes. I know a lot of guys with like a 6-minute breath hold if they're laying face down in a pool. And that doesn't translate obviously into the ocean because you're kicking, you're swimming, or stuff like that. You're hunting, spearfishing or something like that. But yeah, it's all about getting your heart rate low and being relaxed.
So has your ability to hold your breath increased since
It's okay.
beginning to?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was it at beginning and what is it at now?
Oh God, maybe 30 seconds when I first started, and then now I can get a good 3 minutes in a pool, which translates. You usually chop your pool time in half, and that's your water time.
In the
so
ocean,
I got about a minute 20 seconds, max that I can spend at depth, depending on how deep I'm going too. Because you have. I don't know. Have you dove before?
I've never dove, but I'm interested in it.
So the bottom of the pool when your ears start to hurt?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to relieve that pressure. Well, that gets, you have to do that every other kick, and it gets worse the deeper you go.
Okay.
So that you have to have a mental timer of your oxygen, and that takes oxygen to pop your ears and relieve the sinuses. And then after 40 feet, you got to equalize your mask.
Yeah.
Because your mask is like ready to suck your eyeballs out of your
No,
head.
that happened to my grandma. She came up too quick and.
Yeah. And and then like I have tinnitus in my left ear because I pushed myself diving, and when I should have got out of the water I didn't. So now if I there's silence and everything, all I hear is
Does that translate to going deaf, or is that different?
We'll find out. I don't think so, but I'm also that person that I'll go to the doctor when I'm on my deathbed. you
Right.
know?
So have you ever thought of scuba diving, like maybe getting certified so that way you can go down there longer and do more things? Or is it not necessary?
I was into it, and now there's this stupid rivalry between scuba diving and free diving, and I definitely play my part in it.
Right.
It's and it's really frowned upon for free divers because.
So what is the pro of free diving compared to, or why do they frown on
So
it?
free diving, you can get closer to animals because you're not blowing bubbles, you're not making noise.
Oh, okay.
You're more relaxed. Like I said, there's more personal responsibility with it.
More badass.
Yeah, more badass. And I enjoy the challenge, man.
Right.
To me, anyone can sit there with a tank on their back and take great pictures at 20 feet deep. You know what I mean?
So it takes away the euphoric feeling and the,
Takes
and
away
the
that
excitement.
Yeah, because you had the noise of the bubbles and the regulator and all that. I mean, I go down free diving, I hold onto a line. It's nothing but silence. It's nothing but me in the water, and there's no noise. There's no interruptions, and I'm just kind of at one, and it's so hippie-ish to say, but yeah, it's really cool.
So do you practice yoga to help as
I don't.
well, or you don't?
I actually do Muay Thai in my spare time, which is the exact opposite of being relaxed.
What is Muay Thai?
Muay Thai is Thai boxing. So it is the national sport of Thailand, and it's the predominantly stand-up art used in MMA.
Okay.
So it's knees, it's kicks, it's punches, it's elbows,
Right.
it's clinch, it's stuff like that. So I got into that when I was, 24, 25.
Do you spar or just train now?
I was trying to fight in my 20s. Now I'm old. I'm 33 now.
Not worth it,
And getting punched in the face is no longer cool. It sucks.
Yeah.
Getting kicked in the legs sucks. And it's annoying. I don't want to do it.
Did you do any for grappling or on the floor?
I did
or-
jiu-jitsu for a while too. So I was training jiu-jitsu. I was training Muay Thai. I was training wrestling. I was trying to be fighting MMA.
Okay.
It ended up just not happening for one reason or another. But now I took about 4 or 5 years off, and then last February, I looked in the mirror and realized I'd had way too much burgers, way too much whiskey, and way too much beer, and kind of got back in the gym, and it was like the heaviest I'd ever been. I was like, wow, I really let myself go. So I signed back up for it, and it's something that I've never been much for going to the gym and lifting weights.
Right. It
I
gets
could
boring.
do it, but I'm bored. Yeah, I'm like, God, I gotta fucking do this again. And I don't have the attention span to be like, oh, well, this is leg day, this is arm day, this is this day. No.
Well, it also doesn't translate over to much physical ability if you're bodybuilding.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending, you need to work out
It's not functional strength. It's
That's
to
what I
look
was-
good on the
yep.
beach. You know what I mean? And to me, that's never been a priority for me. I was 120 pounds when I was 20 years old, so I never grew up having some physique or something like that. But the Muay Thai, it just keeps me interested and keeps me engaged. I'm learning new things every day. I'm testing myself against my classmates and stuff like that. So, and I'm a pretty competitive person as it is. But when I'm doing that, then I don't mind going to the gym and lifting to supplement.
Right.
And so it just keeps me productive in every other aspect of my life and not being just a complete degenerate, which is easy to do being a bartender.
Well, what do you think is more useful in a street fight? Something like jiu-jitsu, knowing how to grapple on the floor, or something like Muay Thai?
I always kind of laugh at the dudes who say jiu-jitsu is great self-defense. It's good to learn how to get up off the floor, but you never want to be on the ground in a street fight. I mean, because you don't know what he has on him. You don't know what his friends have on him.
Right.
If his friends are there. The last place I want to be is on my back or on the ground.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
So I've always been biased towards striking, but I think Muay Thai is the better, and not so much the whole aspect of, oh, we're gonna spar. No, it's more the clinch in Muay Thai, because then you can get dirty and throw elbows and knees and stuff like that.
Right.
Most fights end up nobody's got a sense of distance and timing and stuff like that. So you're going to end up clinching. But I think Muay Thai, the clinch work you do in Muay Thai translates very well to a street fight.
Because see, I only ever did boxing, so I knew how to strike.
Yeah.
But I always
You
said,
have a sense of timing.
I do.
Yeah.
I know how to throw a punch. I know what it feels like to get hit, all those things. But if someone ever took me to the ground, I am screwed.
Yeah.
I do not know how to wrestle for shit.
Yeah.
So,
And most fights end up on the ground.
yeah.
So, street fights. I mean, but that's because everybody's sloppy in a street fight because, who fights people in the street? Drunk people.
Very
High schoolers
true.
and drunk people.
Very true.
And so no one's got control of their weight and it's all over the place and sloppy. But I think jiu-jitsu is good for getting off the ground in a street fight. But I'm not going to sit here and hunt for a triangle choke off my back in a street fight in jeans and a button up and some dude's like his buddy's coming over and soccer kicking me in the head. Like, hold on, let me get this choke in.
Have you ever been in a street fight?
Oh, I've been in plenty of street fights. Yeah, I was not a good kid growing up.
Oh man. Did you ever? What was the worst one that you got into?
Oh God. I don't remember. Too many concussions.
Too many concussions.
Yeah.
Oh, did you play any other sports or?
I played football growing up.
Okay.
So, and I was always the smallest kid, so I always got the shit kicked out of me.
Oh shit! What position?
I played safety and cornerback. So.
Same here. I played
Yeah.
corner, high school, the smallest kid on varsity freshman year.
Yeah.
They
I didn't even
picked me
make
up.
it to varsity. I was, like I said, I wasn't a good kid, so
Oh.
I dropped out at sophomore.
I wasn't that good either. It's just our school it was a small school. We only had varsity. It really wasn't hard to make it
Where'd
to
you
the
go to
team. It was Summit Christian.
Okay,
And then
yeah.
I went to Palm Beach Central for my senior year.
Nice.
But they picked me up. Like the first game, they decided to start me. And the last is like 2 minutes left of the game. I almost make it through the whole game starting. The tight end picks me up, throws me, drops me, land on my arm, broken, instantly done, out for the
man.
season.
Sucks.
But then I went into boxing, so then it worked out.
Yeah, like I've always been
Constantly.
kind of like I need to be doing something, and even the diving thing, it's man, you get out of the water and like get off the boat, the adrenaline wears off, and about an hour later you're like crashing, like I need energy.
Right. Well, it takes a lot out of you. Even just
Oh,
going to
absolutely.
the beach, any of those things.
Well, it's the combination of the sun and then osmosis from the salt water dehydrating you. So,
Huh.
it's a twofold attack on your energy and want to stay awake.
So, what is your goal with scuba or free diving? Is there anything that you really want to do or
I
accomplish?
eventually want to get to becoming an instructor with free diving. I love teaching people. So whether it's making a cocktail or being in the water with sharks or how to throw a jab, I like teaching people and kind of sharing the things that in life that have made me happy.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe they'll make you happy too. Because at the end of the day, life's short and tomorrow's never promised. So I try to be as happy as I possibly can. I'm super big on kind of living in the moment. And
I'm the same way. Like I like to whatever I learn or I'm into, I like to teach it to others. But that's why I kind of drifted off into doing things like YouTube and podcasting because I have a really small patience or lack of patience. If I teach somebody how to get in shape or something and they don't follow my directions, I'm like, I can't do this. That's why I like to kind of put it out there, like I'm teaching it, and then the people who are really willing will take it and apply it, and I don't have to waste my time on the people who are just sitting around, dicking around, wasting
Sure.
their time.
And that's one of the things, like, I know the gym I go to, they offer, like, a free week, because if after the first week, if you're not into it, you're not going to come back and pay money for it. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people, they'll do their week and then they'll go. It's the same with can't tell you how many people will hit me up, like, oh, I really want to go shark dive. I want to dive. I want to do this so bad. Hey, I got a spot open. It's one, it's however much. Oh yeah, I don't have the money, or I got this going on.
How much is it usually to free dive?
Depending on who you go out with. I know the charter captain I go with, he charges about $150, which is
Okay.
That's pretty good. It's a decent price. I mean,
Is it always with sharks or just free diving sometimes?
we do sharks.
Okay.
I'm not sure what he's charging for spearfishing or other charters, but I know his charter for is generally $150. There's other spearfishing chargers that charge more. There's other spearfishing chargers that charge less. So, and they're all over the place.
What do you recommend to somebody who wants to get into freediving? Like, where do they start practicing first, and what should they do as their first free
I
dive?
would start at the Blue Heron Bridge locally. It's a great little starter spot. There's a bunch of cool shit under there. Like, I've seen eagle rays, sea turtles, manatees. I know they've had manta rays swing through there. They've had a hammerhead swing through there on occasion. Like, there's a bunch of cool stuff at Blue Heron Bridge. It's not deep. It's on a really high tide. It's 18 feet deep to the bottom. So that's where I learned how to do it. That's where I practiced. And it's local. It's free. You know.
So you call up over there and they'll
just
hook you up?
park at the bridge. You just park over at Blue
Oh,
Heron
you can
Bridge.
just do it yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need
Yeah.
anyone with... Okay.
Bring a buddy, but yeah.
Right, bring a buddy.
But yeah, you just park at the Blue Heron Bridge, and you try to time it an hour before high tide, and get your gear on and get in the water. So that's how I learned with it. And there's a couple little short dive spots. Breakers off Palm Beach. It's a little more of a hike to get there because you got to find the public parking and then walk all the way down the breakers with all your fins and your gear. And,
right.
But most of the time it's pretty cool. I mean,
So do you need fins? Do you need like the wetsuit?
a wetsuit. It is recommended for the class. I will use the class line on that.
Sure.
Wetsuit, fins, weight belt, mask, snorkel, dive knife.
Do you use a snorkel?
Yeah.
How do you use a snorkel? Because wouldn't water get in it once you're going under?
Yeah. So basically, once you go under, you spit the snorkel out of your mouth.
Okay.
Because if you do black out, you're gonna once you're blacked out after a certain
You
amount
might
of time,
start-
you're gonna want to take a terminal breath. Your body's gonna want to take breath. If the snorkel's in your mouth and it's filled up with water, what are you gonna breathe in?
Water.
Exactly.
Well, wouldn't you still breathe in water? Because it's only covering your
Your
nose
mouth
and-
won't open because
Oh.
it feels the water here.
Oh, but your nose will try and breathe.
Yeah. No. Well, the mask is on your nose.
But the mask is covering it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I
you're
get
gonna
it.
want to. But if the snorkel's in your mouth and it doesn't feel the water on your lips, it's gonna do that. And if it's filled with water, you're gonna fill your lungs with water.
Right.
So in rescuing someone, the number one rule in rescuing someone who's blacked out is to protect the airway. So you keep your hand over their mouth and get them to the surface as quickly as possible. But if you're not diving with a buddy, game over.
Right.
And or hopefully you're not weighted and you float up, face up, and take that breath or something like that.
Yeah, seriously.
It's a scary world out there, but it's also a very rewarding world. So, I wouldn't be who I am now if I didn't have the humility of diving with apex predators. You know what I mean? So it definitely humbles you.
No, I already know it takes a lot of balls. Have you
Yeah.
done stuff like other stuff like skydiving or bungee jumping, or is
No,
this
I
kind
am
of your?
terrified of heights. You will never catch me jumping out of a perfectly good airplane.
Me too. I don't like to do any of that stuff.
I can't look over the balcony on a third floor apartment. I get like, nope.
No, but I think everyone needs to find their own challenge that's rewarding for them, right?
Sure.
Like for you, yes, maybe freediving at first with sharks was scary, but it was something that's like, I also really want to do this. And then it's worth it. You need to push yourself to do it. But if like something like skydiving where it's like, I'm scared to do this, but I also don't really care to do it. There's no benefit in me doing it for myself.
Yeah, I can see myself doing it, but I'm not like
you really want
jumping
to.
at the bit to do it.
Right, it's not a bucket list thing.
It is, but it isn't. It's one of those things where, like, if that's $300 and going to the Bahamas and swimming with tiger sharks is $300, I'm taking that all day long.
Right.
So
no,
because
it is about the same price.
never gets old. So
Bahamas with the sharks.
yeah, because the water's like it's like swimming in a pool. That's how crystal clear it is over there, and it's euphoric, man. It really is. It's like paradise over there.
How's the freediving been here with all the weather, with it raining constantly?
So it messes up the visibility because of the Army Corps of Engineering dumping the lake all the time. And we'll go through that in and out, and you can actually see the water change coming in and out of the inlet, and it's going from blue to the color of my iced coffee. Yeah, it's gross. But when it's really heavily raining is when they dump the lakes, and we went out. I took a trip out, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago, and it was like that. It was brown-green water 4 miles out.
Jeez.
Right after all those, we had that month of rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was that. But as long as it's not pouring like that all the time, the visibility is pretty good in the summer. So we have a nice north current coming, pushing fresh, clean water from down south in the Caribbean and the Gulf Stream through our area, and that's what creates the crystal blue water. I went down. So we started at about 120 feet of depth yesterday, and obviously we're just floating at the surface, free diving. But if you went down 10 feet, you can make out the rocks and the reef below at 100 feet down. So that's how clear it's been. It's been amazing out there so far. But with more rain, it'll get mucked up. And,
right.
But it seems like the Bahamas never gets like that. So
yeah, sounds interesting. I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, Bahamas that's where it's
stuff.
at. Yeah, that was on the bucket list. So I've knocked that off, and I keep paying an absorbent amount of money to go back. So.
Well, Jake, tell everybody where they can find you at, whatever it is, whether you want to share your Insta.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at lungs_only_Jake. And I'm pretty easy to talk to on there. If you shoot me a DM or something, you ever want to go out, let me know.
Yeah, I'll put that down in the description as well.
Sweet.
So they'll find that. But yeah, thanks,
cool, man.
Jake, for being
Thanks
a
for having
guest.
me, dude.
Yeah,
I had a good
course.
time.
Thank you. You too.